Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Football Chuggu Podcast. You're joined by me, your host, Pearse McLaughlin. There's no Thomas Dunnan today as conflicting schedules meant he couldn't attend the podcast, but I thought I'd give you at least a bite-size podcast today, which won't be a normal length size one, obviously a little short, but we'll discuss the main talking points of Scottish football, English football, and the world of football. So we'll talk about, obviously, um, Russel Martin gets sacked at Rangers, Jordi Alba retiring from professional football, and also a little bit of other retirement news, which would be Stephen Fletcher also retiring from professional footballer, from being a professional footballer. So I think we'll firstly touch on Russell Martin. I don't think it's surprising he gets sacked. I don't think it's surprising he's sacked, considering where Rangers are lying the table at the moment. So currently sitting eighth in the Premiership. One win from 7 games, 5 draws, one defeat, and a -1 goal difference for the amount of money that was spent this summer. Who's backed? For example, Chimiti, £9 million striker, doesn't even start. Barely comes off the bench. And then he's calling players out left, right, and centre. Nico Raskin is supposedly at the door, and then comes back in and single-handedly gets a victory in the League Cup quarter-final against Hibs. Standout performance from him, and then Tavernier was bombed out at the start of the season for Max Aarons. Max Aarons gets sent off in Europe, and then Tavernier's now back in first choice. Just decisionless in terms of calling players out and then so early in the season. And I think they lost the dressing room. There was no really style of play. And I think the board came out and backed him a couple of times, but I think because obviously this new ownership as well, the 49ers, the same group that own Leeds United, down in the English Premier League, they want to give a bit of time, bit of patience, to show that they're steering Rangers in the right direction, which it clearly wasn't, and they've admitted their mistakes to the fans in a public statement. Um, and then we're looking at potential replacements for the next Rangers manager, and obviously Sean Dyche has been linked. Steven Gerrard is the hot favourite, and obviously Steven Gerrard was Rangers manager before. He was Rangers manager for 3.5 years. He won one trophy at a possible 9, but also the one trophy he did win was stopping Celtic from winning 10 in a row, 10 titles in a row, and it was Rangers' 55th title. So yeah, I think that was a monumental season for Rangers where they went undefeated for the entire season. And he had a really good record over Celtic in that time as well, where Celtic didn't win an Old Firm match for nearly 2 years. So I think a lot of Rangers fans were angry at how he left, similar to when Celtic had Brendan Rodgers leaving. And obviously, with Gerrard, the team is in high press, high intensity, wing play, attacking inside forwards and stuff like that. So I think it'll be a bit different if he does come back, because I think when he was manager, the first team was a manager, whereas Russell Martin came in as a head coach, worked with the sporting director, etc., which obviously they control transfers and stuff like a transfer committee. But I think if Steven Gerrard was to come back, I think he's currently in talks at the moment. He would be interested in talks, but it remains to see if he will take the job or not. But if he does, I think it'll be a really good appointment. I think he proven the first time it was a success in some degree. Um, but it would have to be more successful this time around, and I think he would have to hit the ground running with the players he's got, and come January, and it might be a massive clear out, and obviously new additions in, and he'll want to bring his own players in, and create his own style of play, and maybe get his backroom team back together that he once had before that was successful the first time around. So yeah, in terms of Rangers, I think the next manager remains to be seen. I think Sean Dyche, Steven Gerrard, Stephen Robinson from St Mirren's a shout, and also Derek McInnes, who's high flying with Hearts, former Rangers player, Rangers fan, but he's turned down Rangers a number of times in the past. And obviously he's going really well at the top of the table with Hearts at the moment, so it remains to be seen who'll be the next manager. But at the current time of recording, Steven Gerrard's a favourite, and for me, I think um, Derek McInnes or Steven Gerrard would be a worthy appointment in terms of leading Rangers up the table. And challenging for the title because, like you say, they're eighth in the table, but they're only 9 points shy of Celtic in second place, and Hearts are 11 points behind, but they need to start picking up points, start getting confidence back into players again. In terms of retirement news, we've got some retirement news. Sticking with Scottish football, Stephen Fletcher, who's retired at the age of 38. Yeah, so former Scotland forward Stephen Fletcher, known his time back in Hibs, breaking through in that young, exciting team. Gary O'Connor, Derek Riard, Anthony Stokes, Ian Murray, Kevin Thompson, Scott Brown, um, Ivan Sproul, list goes on and on. Gary Caldwell, example, Chris Cullen, Colin Nish. What a young team they had. Really exciting. So he retired at the age of 38. And obviously he was in Wrexham's team last season as he promoted back to the English Championship. Obviously he's working with Hollywood A-listers like Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney. Obviously played down south most of his career for Burnley, Wolves, Sunderland, had a brief stint in Marseille, Sheffield Wednesday, Stoke City before returning to Scotland with Dundee United in 2022 before joining Wrexham. He made 749 club appearances, scoring 189 times. Internationally, found the net 10 times um, in 33 Scotland caps, which is a decent return. Nearly a 1 in 3 record. I think he was a very prolific goal scorer wherever he went. And it wasn't just his goal, it was his link-up play, his touch. He was quite an elegant, tall striker that was good in the air, predominantly left-footed, but yeah, so I think he didn't really much offers. I think he spoke earlier on this summer after his release from Wrexham that he was open to new offers abroad. I think Scotland was kind of out the door for him, but obviously he's got a young family as well, and it would have to be the right offer and the right opportunity. And I don't think anything really enticed him to continue playing. And yeah, it's a sad day that another Scottish football legend has retired, and Stephen Fletcher. And sticking with football legends, probably one of the greatest left backs of all time, and that is Jordi Alba from that iconic Barcelona team, has retired at the age of 36. And that's obviously last week we had Sergio Busquets retiring, both playing the same side, Inter Miami. So that's Busquets retiring now, Jordi Alba, and Jordi Alba is one of that iconic Barcelona team that won the Champions League in 2015 with MSN, Messi, Neymar, and Suarez. There's now only 4 players from that current squad remaining. That's Ter Stegen, Messi, Neymar, and Suarez. And we don't know how long Messi and Suarez will continue. And Neymar's got a couple of years left and he's only just 31, 32. But Mascherano, Dani Alves, Rakitic, Busquets, Piqué, Iniesta, and now Jordi Alba have now retired. So it's a sad, sad day in terms of world football, and obviously just to list some of Jordi Alba's achievements, he's won the Euros once, UEFA Nations League once, Champions League once, a 6-time La Liga winner, 5-time Copa del Rey winner, 4 Super Cup de España winner, 1 Club World Cup, 1 UEFA Super Cup, 1 Supporters Shield, and 1 Leagues Cup with Inter Miami recently. I think for me, he was a left winger at Valencia when they bought him back in 2011. And he converted to a left back, and he built that relationship with Messi put perfectly in terms of he would make that darting run in behind and always look for that cut back to the edge of the penalty spot for Lionel Messi to run onto, and it was a forced partnership that Messi cherished and Messi loved, and the fact is that Messi then recruited him to come and join him at Miami, and it's what wonders. But I think obviously Father Time stops for no man, and I think he knew it was time to come to an end in terms of he can't bomb up and down. He can still go forward and stuff like that, but I think getting back his legs are a wee bit heavy, and obviously maybe wants to just enjoy his retirement, enjoy the lifestyle, and just um hang up his boots. But in terms of a legend, I think he's one of the best left backs the world has ever seen. Not quite the level of Marcelo, Roberto Carlos, for example, Ashley Cole, but I think he's certainly right up there in terms of what he's won and what he's achieved and how he's played the game of football. And I think when you watch football, he was a really talented footballer, very diminutive, very fiery, feisty, always loved a battle. And yeah, you don't play for Barcelona for that long and won the things that he's won both for club and for country if you're not a good player. So for me, it's a sad day, and a lot of the players that we grew up watching, especially my teenage years and young childhood years, most of them are now retiring. So it's just a sad day that another legends hang up the boots, and yeah, just a sad day. And that's it for today's episode. Hopefully, Tom will be on next week, and you'll see two of our beautiful faces on the podcast. And you can obviously listen to a podcast on the Football Chuggu website. Football Chuggu will be on YouTube as well, and all other available streaming platforms where you get your podcast. Thanks for listening, and bye bye. Cheers.